In his famous work, Fingerprints of the Gods, Graham Hancock argues that certain civilizations on Earth have exhibited signs of extraordinary intelligence in their architecture, scientific systems, and writing. These civilizations developed far beyond what we initially believed. Below are some strange aspects of humanity that have long been forgotten. They also serve as a reminder that our ancestors left behind countless artifacts, structures, and architectural wonders, many of which we are responsible for decoding. If human history is still being uncovered, then these relics should serve as critical markers, helping us re-examine the historical timeline. These relics left by our ancestors must correspond with the level of advancement they had at that time. From that, we derive the need to reassess and adjust the chronological milestones in human history. These anomalies raise questions about the history we've recorded and how much of it still needs further investigation. In the prehistoric period, marked by the time before humans developed writing, Homo sapiens roamed the earth for thousands of years. They likely formed small groups living in primitive societies. However, the historical context changed about 15,000 years ago. When we compare the crude and primitive state of humans back then with the incredible achievements over the last 15,000 years, the gap is enormous. We used to think that human progress and achievements in science and technology followed a steady upward trajectory, that each new civilization was more advanced and intelligent than the one before, just like the theory of evolution from Neanderthals to Homo sapiens. But this assumption is being challenged by the discovery of several unknown ancient civilizations that appear to have had highly advanced knowledge. Several ancient civilizations across the globe showed profound understanding of astronomy and mathematics. For example, the Babylonian Empire dating back to around 2500 BC had astronomers who could map the annual orbits of the sun and moon. Their star maps were so accurate that they had no rivals until 1857, when astronomer Peter Andreas Hansen created celestial arc diagrams with an error margin of only 9 seconds. In China, during the Shang dynasty circa 1100 BC, a solar calendar known as Seipo was developed. This calendar was accurate down to 29.53055106 days, which means it included leap years. An even older Chinese manuscript attributed to King Pingzu described the Earth as a floating entity in space. This is similar to beliefs held by two Greek scholars, Parmenides and Anaxagoras, who suggested that the moon reflects the sun's light to illuminate the night sky. As far back as 10,000 years ago, modern humans might have already speculated about the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence. So, what drove early societies to cross boundaries and acquire such astonishing knowledge so early? The examples above are not isolated cases. In other words, it wasn't just one region on Earth that reached a high level of scientific understanding. Many advanced civilizations may have existed and disappeared, leaving behind only fragmented traces. The Sumerian civilization, recognized as the world's first advanced civilization, is considered the cradle of modern humanity. It emerged around 3800 BC in what is now southern Iraq. Sumer exploded with incredible cultural achievements. Also known as Shinar, the region lies between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Thus, it was part of what we call Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers. These rivers played a vital role in helping the Sumerian civilization flourish, facilitating trade and transport. Mesopotamia was part of the Fertile Crescent, a geographical zone with ideal climate and water conditions for agriculture. Before Sumer, another civilization may have existed called Ubaid. Its origins remain unclear, but it likely consisted of scattered tribes living along the major rivers. Sumer expanded into many fields, including astrology, botany, zoology, mathematics, and law. Some of their greatest contributions were in medicine and pharmacology, which were widely applied. The first brick houses were discovered in this region. They even had a full mythological system and historical narrative of their own. At a time when hunting and gathering were still dominant worldwide, The Sumerians were drafting sophisticated legal codes and conducting astronomical calculations at an intermediate level. One of the world's earliest known written manuscripts was also found here. The Sumerians used cuneiform script to record their knowledge. These symbols were formed by narrow triangular marks arranged in distinct patterns. Their writing system used pictographs and symbols to express ideas and concepts similar to some East Asian languages, unlike English, which forms words by combining phonetic letters. When inscribed onto clay tablets, the text was later kiln-fired for preservation. This method likely predates the printing revolution by millennia. Over 500,000 clay tablets have been discovered testament to the intellectual legacy of this civilization and their intent to preserve knowledge for the long term. The Sumerians also developed unique architectural structures known as ziggurats, step pyramids, that towered dozens of meters high. In northern Mesopotamia, Sumer went through 3 major dynasties, with the final one beginning around 2100 BC. They created 2 of the world's earliest cities, Uruk and Eridu. This marked the first time in history that artisans, writers, doctors, mathematicians, and lawyers could engage in trade and exchange of ideas in urban settings. Eventually, the smaller Sumerian city-states united and became part of the larger Babylonian civilization, which spanned much of Mesopotamia. Beyond agriculture, medicine, and commerce, the Babylonians had profound understanding of the cosmos. Their knowledge of stars and celestial bodies was documented on clay tablets describing star movements and solar trajectories. They studied key astronomical events like the vernal, equinox, autumnal, equinox, solar eclipses, and lunar eclipses. A group of Babylonian scholars compiled their astronomical knowledge into a text called Mul-Apin, meaning the plow star, associated with Ursa Major. It was the first recorded constellation in ancient astronomy, dating back to around 1370 BC. Another impressive text is Enuma Anu Enlil, which includes several sacred scrolls. These not only referenced solar and lunar eclipses and astronomical phenomena, but were also used as a form of prophecy. Although their methods might contain mystical elements, the Babylonian system of observation and verification had already surpassed the primitive nature of early human knowledge. In the fields of astronomy and mathematics, they developed a highly specialized numerical system based on multiples of 60, known as the sexagesimal system. This allowed Babylonian scientists to calculate measurements accurately down to 1/60 of a degree, also known as a minute of arc. This is the very foundation of why we today have 60 minutes in an hour and 360 degrees in a circle. The Babylonian civilization set 2 significant precedents in human history. First, they established the fundamental standards of a modern civilization. Second, in astronomy, they provided the earliest known example of humans deliberately observing and collecting information about phenomena beyond their immediate reach. In essence, this marked a turning point for humanity, no longer relying solely on instinct, but using rational thought and scientific methods to explore the world. However, a larger question arises. What are the essential prerequisites for the birth of a civilization? Did they come about by mere coincidence, like how the Big Bang randomly produced life? When will we finally be ready to accept this new information and update our understanding of human history? Throughout history, many once great civilizations rose to incredible heights and then mysteriously vanished without a trace. Were their downfalls the result of war, natural disasters, or unimaginable cataclysms? And if so, how many other advanced civilizations once existed only to be buried by time? It's possible that we have misunderstood or only partially grasped history. Perhaps many chronological milestones must be reevaluated. Perhaps the ancient ruins left behind are not just remnants, but messages from a distant past, where humans may have already reached a peak we are only now beginning to rediscover. Artifacts, engravings, buildings, and ancient texts left by our ancestors may not simply be cultural relics. They could serve as evidence for the existence of ultra-advanced civilizations perhaps even ones that had contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. If that's the case, then we must ask, is human history truly a straight line of evolutionary progress? Or is it a repeating cycle where civilizations rise, fall, and rise again? Where are we now in that cycle? It's time we stop treating history as something fixed and immutable. We must instead see it as a flowing current, always open to new discoveries and mysteries, waiting to be reevaluated with reason, skepticism, and curiosity. Because perhaps in order to truly understand the future, we must first view the past more accurately than ever before.